Hello, this is Crystal Racing with the race review for the 2020 Hungarian Grand Prix, and we were all let down, let's be honest. The first half of the racing was shaping up to be just such a marvellous race, and then of course the rain disappeared, the track dried up, and what would you know? Lewis Hamilton won yet again, and is it his 86th Grand Prix career victory? I've lost count. I don't really care, but let's go through the crystal score. Lewis Hamilton, 10 out of 10. Magnificent performance all weekend as usual. He was actually, of course, well, at one point I think he was leading by at least almost half a minute when he was pushing his hardest. Not, but I mean, obviously towards the end he then got new soft tyres and got the fastest lap. 426 points. I don't really need to say anything more than that. Second place Max Verstappen crashed on his way to the grid. Having said that though, all race long he drove superbly, made his way through the pack very quickly. And, to finish within 10 seconds of the Mercedes, yes, he took a pit stop less. It's a fantastic performance. He nursed his tyres very well. But it's really pretty much nothing less I expect from Max, but it is 10 out of 10. Third place was Valtteri Bottas. It's got to be a 6 out of 10. Just nowhere near good enough. All race long, he was just so slow. I mean, that... And of course that jump stop where he somehow managed to not trigger the sensors. Like, he's done this many times now where all he does is just guess when the lights are going to go out. I mean, he has such a strange way of reacting to the red lights. But having said that, his pace all race long was, well, in the wet, early on was awful. He was running 7th, 8th, 9th. In that Mercedes. The guy is so bang average, it's unreal. I mean, how is he in that car? I don't know. Fourth place, and my own personal driver today, it's got to be Lance Stroll. Yes, I know he's driving what is basically last year's Mercedes, but he's pretty much had the beating of Perez all weekend long, easily. And he did not put a wheel out of shape at all. And of course, early on, he was running second. I mean, and the most remarkable thing about this performance is that this has all come at what is, I think, arguably, along with Monaco, one of his weakest tracks on the F1 calendar. The turnaround Lance Stroll has made in the past 18 months or so has been absolutely profound. I am seriously impressed by the turnaround and improvement in all areas. His attitude, his commitment, his approach to race weekend, even his qualifying has gone better. I can't say anything bad about Lance Stroll. He's no longer a daddy's boy. He's actually becoming a serious F1 driver now. Fifth place was Alex Albon, 8 out of 10. Qualified 14th, 7 tenths off Max Verstappen. Yes, I know the car's built around Max Verstappen's ability to drive a car on a knife edge, but come on, Albon. 7 tenths off the pace is ridiculously bad. Around what is essentially a 74-second lap. Oh dear. But in the race, he did alright. Yes, I mean... he worked his socks off. I mean, he made diligent moves. Okay, he got a bit aggressive with a few people like Grosjean in particular, but, at least he's putting in the moves that Gasly was not doing. But, of course, he might be disqualified or given some sort of penalty for the fact that apparently his mechanics did break the regulations for drying his pit box on the dummy grid. But if he does get a time penalty, he'll keep 5th because, of course, 6th place Sebastian Vettel was lapped. And as for Sebastian Vettel, it was a 9 out of 10 for me. He literally did everything he could in that piece of garbage that is the SF1000. Okay, the SF1000 is not quite as bad as the F14T from 2014, but that's still but for me, that performance was very, very good by Vettel. Drove, I mean, yeah, the qualifying performance for Ferrari was actually fairly good considering how slow that car is. I mean, I don't really know what, I mean, and he did manage to, well, look after his tyres very well, like his teammate, but, and of course, he did manage to get sixth despite the fact that the team just were completely useless at that strategy once again, but of course, they are Ferrari. What else needs to be said? Their strategic department is one of the worst in the business. Seventh place was Sergio Perez, 7 out of 10. You know, the Checo Hive is pretty much in hiding somewhere on F1 Twitter. They were very quiet all weekend because Checo was actually sick, was, well, sick with food poisoning from what I know, and unfortunately he just was not very good at all. He just didn't do anything to make anyone sit up and think, well, he's very good, is he? Well, I mean, you know, this was supposed to be the year that Perez would impress in the midfield, get and possibly get podium results, but he hasn't even got a podium, and not only that, he's not finished higher than sixth this year, which is, well, very disappointing, I have to say, for someone of Perez's experience, and if the rumours are true that Vettel will take Perez's seat at Racing Point or Aston Martin, may I say, for next season, these sort of performances actually justify Perez getting kicked out. 8th place is Daniel Ricciardo, 8 out of 10. Some say he was very impressive considering how poor that Renault is. But having said that, though, I do think he could have got Perez if he. But I just don't know what it. I just don't know how to assess Ricciardo because right now his own teammate Esteban Ocon is not very good at all at the moment. And well, I'm not going to say anymore because I don't really know. I didn't really see much of Ricciardo today. He was almost like a Carlos Sainz in a way. 9th place, Kevin Magnussen. A fantastic performance by the driver and the team today. At the start of the race, I thought the Haas were a bunch of idiots for bringing their drivers in to change tyres, to change onto the medium tyres, but as it was, they only need to do a one-stop strategy for the whole race, meaning that both Magnussen and Grosjean were in the points for almost the entire distance. I mean, why on earth could Alfa Romeo not have copied that strategy? I'm so irritated at that team, but I'll get on to them much later on. But Kevin Magnussen did so well to hang on to his medium and his hard tyres, earning Haas 2 points, bringing them level with Alfa Romeo in the Constructors' Championship, and deservedly so because that team I'm going to talk about is I'm going to blow my top off at them. 10th place was Carlos Sainz, a very quiet weekend for McLaren. Their car just, well, I mean, it just wasn't that quick around here for some reason. I don't know when it's just, I don't know what it is. It's just average 8 out of 10 for Sainz. He did what he could. Impressive move on Leclerc, by the way. Leclerc finished 11th, 7 out of 10. Got sabotaged by Ferrari's pathetic strategy pit crew. But having said that, his performance on the soft tyres and then the hard tyres were just out of God. Just what? Why on earth did he go on soft tyres? I mean, Jesus Christ. He had no, but I mean, goodness me, there was nowhere near enough grip for the soft tyres to work for Leclerc. I'm not going to slag him too much this weekend because it's just a bad weekend. He'll probably turn up at Silverstone back in form again, but yeah. And then of course Danny Kvyat, 7 out of 10. I didn't see him all race, to be honest. I have no idea. Well, it wasn't, although having said that, I mean, AlphaTauri have not been fast all weekend, so who really cares, to be honest. 7 out of 10, Danny. 6 out of 10 for Lando Norris, who today had a very mediocre race. Just, I mean, he had a terrible start and just never recovered. 14th place was Esteban Ocon, 5 out of 10. Just a pathetic performance for someone who is beginning to look somewhat very overrated. It is mental to think that me and many people thought that Ocon should have taken Bottas' seat after 2018. Because Ocon has done absolutely nothing of merit this season. I mean, yes, I know he's not raced for 18 months, but I mean, if he's not improving by the end of this season, then he's going to be in serious trouble when he faces Fernando Alonso next year, because Fernando Alonso could well destroy him quite easily, even more than what Ricciardo is doing, by the way, even though Alonso will be coming back after 2 years out of the sport. 15th place, Roman Grosjean, 7 out of 10. Actually had a good race today. I'm going to be nice to Roman, but unfortunately, he did struggle on the hard tyres. He just fell back because, let's be honest, he's not on Magnussen's level. And, but he did do a very good job as a roadblock for Magnussen, meaning that the cars behind couldn't catch up to his teammate as quickly as they should have done. So at least he's taking one for the team. I'll give you that, Roman, okay? And I don't want to keep slagging him off because it's getting a bit tiring now. 16th place, Kimi Räikkönen, 7 out of 10. Was it up? Well, I think he was driving around 11th and 12th place. But of course, it wasn't as if nobody was going to score a point anyway. Because of course he was apparently outside his starting grid spot at the start of the race. Apparently he was like 10 metres behind his starting spot, as if he didn't care, so he got a 5-second penalty for that. 7 out of 10, drove the wheels of his car, but that car's just awful, and the team is just... I don't even give a shit about Alfa Romeo anymore. I just can't stand them. What was it? 17th place, Antonio Giovinazzi, just nowhere at all. 5 out of 10. Just drove near the back all race. I have completely lost interest in this kid, and of course, but considering how slow that car was in qualifying, at least Alfa Romeo beat Williams, because of course Alfa Romeo qualified 19th and 20th, and of course for the first time in Kimi's career, he qualified last on pure pace alone. No mistakes, no mechanical failures, no disqualification, just pace alone. 18th place was George Russell, 8 out of 10. He was running quite high up earlier on because of course he did qualify 12th, but as it was, a general race pace of that Williams, of course, came back to bite the whole team in the arse. He fell right to the back. Couldn't get past Giovinazzi, who I have to say, I would expect Russell to get on to try and beat someone like Giovinazzi, but Russell was, for all intents and purposes, I think once he fell to the back, he just gave up. Don't blame him at all, because why on earth would he want to risk a crash in a race where he's just simply not going to score points? 19th place and a reject of the day. It's got to be Nicholas Latifi. Got into a collision with Carlos Sainz coming out of the pit lane. That was actually the team's fault for releasing him too early, but he got a puncher, and then of course later on he spun a few times. He went to the pits 5 times, finished 5 laps down in a race where everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. And yes, I know what happened in the pits for his first pit stops was not his fault, but after that his head just completely went and he just drove a horrendous race. Just honestly, frankly, that performance was much worse than anything that Kubica came up with. But at least Latifi did qualify P15 yesterday. Yes, he was 6/10 slower than Russell, but at least, Latifi isn't totally incompetent. And the only retiree of the race, Pierre Gasly, 7 out of 10. He actually got into Q3 with what was a spluttering Honda engine yesterday, which broke down. He had the engine changed this morning, and it broke down again in a race. Like, he's going to get a grid penalty soon, the poor lad. I feel so sorry, but he really did work his socks off in an attempt to try and get that AlphaTauri into the race and just tried right with it. So yeah, that is my crystal score review for the Hungarian Grand Prix. I can't believe I've talked for 15 minutes because honestly it was such a boring race, but for some reason I've managed to find a lot to talk about. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe to Crystal Racing, and I'll see you again next time.